What is global debt? Well, that is the amount of money in which the world owes in total debt. That's both public and private. How much is that? That's $315 trillion on the planet with 8 billion people. So you can see the debt is extremely high. What causes global debt? We're going to get into, but it can be good when you need to invest in infrastructure or into industry. How do you measure global debt? Well, it's measured two ways. One in gross domestic product, which is the total amount of goods and services, finished goods and services a country produces, less its imports. So there's also something called personal purchasing parity, which is how you measure each individual in the country as far as the buying power they have. The biggest thing that impacts global debt on the downside is something called black swans or unforeseen events, like financial shocks, like the 2008 financial shock, the Great Depression, COVID-19, inflation, deficit spending, slow growth, as I said, borrowing money, war, government infrastructure. So there's a lot of things that impact global debt, and it's not really that bad to be in debt as long as it's controllable. The debt ratio is important because what that tells you is how much does the country owe of its GDP, how much is it paid toward the debt. By the way, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. So if a country has a high debt ratio, that means they're spending most of their gross domestic product, which again is the measurement, on paying debt. That's not a good thing. Also, that can affect the rating agencies like Moody's, who will come in, or Fitch, who will decide based upon the country's solvency, whether it's defaulted, it decides on what is the rating it's going to give the country. A AAA rating is the best. There are some countries rated at B. If you have a high rating, when you go back to borrow money, the cost of borrowing money is cheaper. If you have a low rating, you're going to have to pay more to borrow money. Today, we're going to be talking about Japan, the biggest bubble in economic history. Japan's debt to GDP ratio is second after China. It was recently passed at 267%. It is one of the highest debt to GDP ratios in the G7. Also, its personal purchasing parity is $52,000, which is not really that bad. Japan suffers from a population problem, that their population is getting older. Also, the low birth weight and the large senior population has brought tremendous stress on Japan. Japan experienced the lost decade between 1991 and 2003, where there was no real investment in Japan and deflation occurred. So Japan just recently is beginning to recover from that problem. Okay, 18% of Japan's GDP goes to debt services. One of the better things about, in Japan's case, is the Japanese citizens own most of the debt, and that's a good thing. Japan was at one time posed to surpass the United States in gross domestic product. For a matter of fact, the Emperor's Palace in the 80s in Japan, real estate value was appraised higher than the entire real estate value of the state of California. That's how inflated Japan's economy was. It was an asset bubble ready to pop. And how that happened was, years ago, the United States had something called the Plaza Accord, which helped support the Japanese yen, being that at one time the United States after World War II was concerned that it's possible Japan might become communist. So they invest a lot of money in Japan. Japan also uses something called window guidance, where the government tells industry where to invest, what industries to invest in. That could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing. It didn't work out that well for Japan. In any case, that's Japan. That's the economy of Japan and how it fits in with the world debt. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and have a good day. Bye.